Coming up on AgWeek TV. We kick off the indoor farm show season in Fargo at the Northern Ag Expo, where we'll discuss grain markets and possible greenhouse gas emission regulations.
Once again, it's time for year-end equipment buying.
I'm in a small town in North Dakota where the community is trying to save its only restaurant.
And we'll profile a unique hands-on horse therapy business in small town North Dakota. Welcome to AgWeek TV. I'm Emily Beal. This week we're coming to you from the Northern Ag Expo at the Fargo Dome, the first post-harvest farm show in the Northern Plains. This is the 51st year for the Expo. The two-day event, put on by the North Dakota Agricultural Association, has about 100 exhibitors for its trade show and typically draws 3,000 to 4,000 people. It also features educational programs and seminars, such as the Grain Market Outlook and farm safety demonstrations. One of the notable speakers at the Northern Ag Expo was Mary Thomas Hart with the National Cattlemen's Beef Association. So Mary, what are some of the obstacles that cattlemen are currently facing?
There are a variety of obstacles. I think, every year is a little different, but I think certainly rising input costs have a huge impact on farmers and ranchers across the country. Also, regulatory burden. We see, increasing interest in regulation from agencies like the EPA.
So a big topic you discussed was greenhouse gas emissions reporting.
So earlier this year, we saw a proposed rule from the Securities and Exchange Commission to mandate greenhouse gas emissions reporting from publicly traded companies. Now, that proposed rule includes Scope 3, or supply chain emissions. So that means that any beef cattle producer whose final product is being sold by a publicly traded entity could be subject to greenhouse gas emissions reporting requirements. There's currently no accurate way to calculate and report greenhouse gas emissions, especially at an on-farm level. So this subjects farmers and ranchers potentially to a pretty burdensome and unachievable regulatory mandate.
So how did NCBA respond to their proposal?
NCBA and 10 other national ag associations filed some pretty substantive comments to the SEC. I think it was pretty clear with this proposal that they failed to consider the impact of this rule, this mandate, to agricultural producers, in part because agriculture has never been regulated by the Securities and Exchange Commission. And as far as a resolution, I think that we will expect to see a final rule from the SEC in the next 6 months. Less clarification on whether that final rule is going to include Scope 3 emissions. I think that they received a lot of pushback, and so there will be likely some scaling down of the Scope 3 reporting requirement.
Thanks for joining us today for some insight. Mary Thomas Hart, NCBA. Farm safety is often a focus at these shows. A grain bin rescue in Colgate, North Dakota last month once again called attention to the importance of grain bin safety and fast rescue. While the Colgate rescue thankfully didn't result in a loss of life, the Farm and Safety Ranch Program Coordinator for NDSU Extension says that was the exception. Most farm accidents are traumatic, even when someone is saved. At the farm safety demo at the Expo, she stressed the importance of showing empathy to communities involved.
You just listening allows them to release that weight, so they are not carrying that burden of any guilt that they may have, any remorse, any regret, any fear. And that's really, really hard in our very rural, stoic communities, because it's hard to admit that we were scared. It's hard to admit that you could have died in that situation. That's not easy to talk about. But the more we allow people to do that, the more we can help these communities and help these farmers and ranchers and their families heal.
Safety demos were put on throughout the Expo by Cheyenne Valley Technical Rescue. A South Dakota family is celebrating 60 years in the implement business. As Nickel Pates found, despite some current challenges in the market, it's still a good time to buy.
Emily, many farmers are in a stronger position to buy equipment than they thought they would be at this point.
Worked here at the dealership with my father and spent all my young years learning the business.
The Bloom family's been selling farm equipment in South Dakota since 1962. Brothers Jeff and Tom Bloom have owned Lake County International since 1986. Jeff Bloom says he's seen both good times and tough times in the ag business.
I remember business being good in the 70s. I can also remember my father writing me a paycheck and telling me not to run to the bank and cashing it because times were tight.
You're talking about the 80s now.
Yeah, right.
The Association of Equipment Manufacturers says farm machinery sales have been strong this year, especially combines. As new unit prices have risen in recent years, some farmers have been hanging on to older equipment, so Bloom says repair business has also been good. He says despite inflation fears and higher interest rates, farmers have financial wherewithal because of recent strong crops, market prices, and government payments. And those tax breaks still give some farmers a reason to buy before the end of the year.
The inflation is terribly scary, but the interest rates rising, to 7.5% is scary, but it's still not as bad as times we've been in before.
John Schuver and his brother Junior grow corn and soybeans near Granville, Iowa. They drove more than 2 hours to Lake County International looking for a loader for their feedlot. John says crop and land prices have gone up in the past 2 years, and he wonders how long it will stay that way.
You're kind of waiting for that hit, and that interest, which the interest is going up, so that's going to start taking a toll on it. It's been good the last couple of years, but the interest now, it's creeping up.
So there's concern about inflation, but it appears the pace of farm equipment sales will remain brisk through the end of 2022. For AgWeek, this is Mikkel Pates at Madison, South Dakota.
Self-propelled combines have seen the biggest sales increase across the country for the last several months. They grew 77% in October. Coming up on AgWeek TV from the Northern Ag Expo, we'll talk to some experts about the grain market outlook for the coming year.
I'm Peter Bosch. I've been working with Gateway Building Systems for a little over 20 years now. I chose Gateway Building Systems to build my shop because I wanted a building that could both be used for my equipment and as a place for my family to hang out and do things. I would advise anybody that's thinking about working with Gateway to go in and talk to the guys there, tell them your plans and your future dreams, and let them design something for you.
If you need storage at your location, call Mike at Storage Pros today. We sell and rent 20, 40, and 45-foot new and used shipping containers. Choose from our huge inventory of in-stock shipping containers at one of our 3 locations. All of our units are wind and watertight and mouse-proof. We deliver with roll-off trailers to your site. We'll have your container to you and ready to use in 2 to 3 days. Call Mike at Storage Pros today, 701-360-1411.
Every season has an end. After spending your whole life building something, it can be hard to move on to your next stage in life. But when that time comes, you deserve to have someone you trust guide you through the process. And by trusting us to pass on your legacy, it gives someone else the chance to create their own. Every auction has a story. Let us share yours.
There's no easy button, no guarantees, or promises of a good year. This is farming. It's unpredictable and demanding, with long days and sometimes stressful nights. It's weathering the storms and coming out successful. Farming isn't for everyone. We thank those who make it their life, because it is for everyone.
Risk management is not just for the grains. Livestock producers, did you know you too can protect the price for your production? Livestock Risk Protection, or LRP for short, is a great tool to help you protect the price of your calves. Cattle producers can also protect their pasture and hayland from lack of rainfall with pasture rangeland forage, or PRF insurance. This is a very affordable way to help producers in times of below average rainfall. Call the Risk Management Specialist, Martinson Ag Risk Management.
Welcome back to our show, coming to you this week from the Northern Ag Expo in Fargo, North Dakota. One of the main seminars at the Expo was the Grain Marketing Outlook. I currently have 2 panelists here with me, Randy Martinson and Frayne Olson. So guys, as we wrap up 2022, what were some of the surprises we saw in the grain markets?
Well, I guess to start with, when we started the spring, we were really concerned about planted acreage as well as yield potential. Not only here, especially in the Northern Plains, but also across a pretty big part of the growing region in the U.S. And obviously the the crop turned out to be a lot better than we anticipated. Harvest went a lot smoother than I think anybody expected, especially here in the Northern Plains. And so when we look at total production numbers, they came in, a kind of an average size crop. We were right at trendline yield for corn and soybeans, a little bit below for wheat, but again, primarily because of the winter wheat area. But we had a good production year. And the question now, of course, is where do we go on the demand side?
Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, we were surprised that we were able to even harvest the crop and be done by the end of October with corn, especially with this late planting that we had. And it was a good crop for the most part in most of the areas. Now, we did see, of course, the Western Corn Belt did have some production issues with the drought that kind of continued to ravage down in that area. But for the most part, it was a lot better end to a year than what we were expecting.
As we look back in the year of 2022, what were some of the driving forces that really impacted the grain markets?
A lot of it revolved around the political aspects, things outside of agriculture rather than necessarily what was going on within agriculture.
A slowdown in China demand as well, but because of COVID, not importing as much soybeans or corn, I think added a little bit to that trouble with the U.S. market, and we're kind of seeing that yet with our slower corn exports than we anticipated.
So as we're sitting in the last month of 2022, how are the grain markets currently looking?
Pretty decent shape. I would say that we probably have hit the holiday doldrums a little sooner than normal. We probably are going to see a quiet December. One thing is that we do know the market is going to be very reactive to any kind of special news or some event that happens, like that missile striking Poland, we shot the markets up right away. So I think that's something that the market is very sensitive because of our tight stocks.
So as we head into 2023, what are some of those possible risks that producers could face?
I think on the corn side, it's our exports. Right now our export market, our exports haven't been good in corn. We're running about 50% of what we were last year at this time. So I think that's going to be the biggest pitfall for corn going forward, is that it's likely USDA is going to lower our export estimates, which will increase our stocks, which that could be a little bit of a black cloud over the head of corn going forward. And then, with whether South America's production is going to fall, that will help dictate where our exports do come into play. But right now we're trailing, and it's going to be a long road to hoe to get back to normal.
Yeah, and on soybeans, kind of a similar story. We're relying very heavily, obviously, on the Chinese market to pull off a lot of the U.S. soybeans. They're the most dominant buyer. The soybean buying habits right now from China are really kind of a wait and see. They are buying from the U.S. I think we'll continue to have some export sales of soybeans into the U.S., from the U.S. into China. However, they're really buying hand to mouth. They're really only filling what they need, anticipating a very large crop coming out of Brazil. And of course, once that crop starts harvest and they're able to get some of those new crop beans into the export terminals and into the facilities, I think we're going to see U.S. export sales to China drop off very dramatically. So farmers from the soybean standpoint have a pretty tight window to try and get the rest of their old crop marketing done, potentially get some new crop marketing done as well into the 2023 season. So I'd be watching soybeans pretty carefully for some opportunities.
Thank you two so much for your insight. Randy Martinson and Frayne Olson. An equine massage therapist in western North Dakota gives the hands-on treatment. While many use electronic devices on horses, Jamie Hande prefers to use her hands.
It's kind of been my whole childhood, really, a horseback. I always wanted to do something with horses, but I knew that I wasn't cut out for vet school.
Jamie Hande grew up with horses, so she knows how to get them to trust her. Hande feels hands-on is better than machines.
So like right here, she softens. Right there is a spot. She lets you know. I think people are thinking the next new technology thing is better, but I feel with massage, your hands are on them. So not only do they take your energy in to help heal, but you can also feel where they're tight or where they're sore, where there's a problem, rather than just throwing a machine on them.
Her facility in Glenullo, North Dakota has 2 large pole barns that house stalls for clients' horses, a walker, an arena, and therapy equipment. That includes a 500-gallon water tank with a treadmill.
They're about 60% buoyant when it's full.
But her main focus is the hands-on massage.
You usually start with a full body massage, and then you'll come across any places that are tighter or more sore, and you'll spend a little more time working on that. For the most part, if they're not super sore, they enjoy it, relax.
Hande started the business 10 years ago after graduating from college and then getting certified in equine massage in Montana.
They usually go out in the arena and roll before they come in here. But that's so good for them to get out of the stall and be able to do that. So
The facility can take up to 7 horses at a time. Hande estimates 75% of her clients are rodeo athletes.
I've had steer wrestling horses, barrel horses, team roping horses, calf roping horses. I've pretty much had every event.
Horses generally stay with Hande for 2 weeks of therapy.
Hande is one of only a few equine massage therapists in the region, so customers come from across the Dakotas, Minnesota, Nebraska, and Wyoming. Ahead on AgWeek TV, one small town is looking for someone to reopen its only restaurant.
The team at North Star Ag is committed to quality and committed to you. We're not just a full-service dealer, we're farmers too, so we know you need the best machinery and services that'll keep you going all season long. We have the largest equipment inventory in the upper Midwest with a well-equipped parts and service department. So whether you need machinery tomorrow or parts today, stop in and experience what North Star Ag can offer on our website at northstar-ag.com or give us a call at 701-361-4790.
Our environment affects us all. It guides how we use our land, what we grow, and where we call home. For decades, we've equipped our clients with comprehensive environmental solutions and confidence to build their projects. Our team of environmental specialists are experts in navigating complex regulatory environments and finding solutions to build a sustainable future for everyone. More engineering, improving lives by building strong communities.
Dynaflow is the ultimate high-volume water management pump. Whether you're experiencing flooding, emptying sloughs, transferring ponds, or working on irrigation, the Dynaflow pump works in as little as 18 inches of water and is designed to move 3,000 gallons per minute. The Dynaflow lift pump is the perfect upgrade to your drain tile system. Using line shaft turbine pump technology, these pumps are made to last while operating efficiently. Dynaflow drain tile pumps can move up to 1,500 gallons per minute up to 3,400 feet away.
Saline can leave certain parts of a field unproductive, so North Dakota farmer Brad Kellerman was excited to try the product and see his soils come back to life.
I really like the properties that it displays, and I'm going to keep working with it to try and improve the overall soil health, because if the soil health is not good, I don't think the crop is going to be good either.
Kellerman has been pleased with the results of his soil since beginning to use calcine.
So I don't believe there's anything on the market that I've seen like calcine that works in the soil the way it does.
Satellite imagery, we looked at it. You can see exactly where the calcine was. We have more growth in those areas.
Gary Wagner farms in northwest Minnesota on a variety of different soil types. He says calcine has helped his acres thrive and plans to continue to use calcine in the future.
To it, and we're becoming a believer.
How will December's weather bode for the region? Here's John with our AgriWeather Outlook.
Across the northern part of the Northern Plains region, the weather continues to look fairly cold. Across much of the northern part of the U.S., fairly cold temperatures have settled in for December. Doesn't look like we're in for a record-setting December cold pattern, but it does look a little colder than average across the north. Not so much in the southern U.S., where, if anything, it's a little warmer. Snowfall in the current pattern remains rather nominal. There are weather systems, but they're mostly generating not a lot of precipitation, as in moisture content, so we're only really seeing, for the most part, modest snowfalls. And generally speaking, I would characterize this pattern over the central part of the country as fairly dry. Let's take a look at the jet stream pattern as it is setting up this weekend. There is a bit of split flow over the west, and split flow is one thing that tends to kind of keep the weather from being completely extreme. So we do have a generally cold weather pattern. There is, in fact, some semblance of a polar vortex disruption, but it's still mostly high latitude. But this is allowing some very cold air into and around the Hudson Bay region, but fairly mild air coming up through eastern Canada. Split is over the North Atlantic and over the west coast. In the middle, they do kind of come together, but not enough for a truly stormy weather pattern. And it'll be like that as we go through the week. Generally speaking, fairly cold temperatures. There will be a few days right near the Canadian border midweek where it doesn't get get very much above zero, but that will gradually retreat back northward then into Canada before we get too terribly cold. And across the southern part of the country, kind of seasonal temperatures is the way the pattern is setting up. For the second week here, this will be December 17th through 11, a modest retreat of the cold air, but I think that will be fairly temporary. We're still kind of seeing this split flow pattern. It's shifting a little bit, and I think there will be some relatively mild weather in the plains, mostly because we really haven't seen a deep snowpack developing, except for parts of North Dakota, and a lot of that melted away over Thanksgiving, or at least melted down. So there's not a lot of deep snowpack. There will be a cold surge into the Great Lakes and the northeastern states toward the middle of December, and that'll keep things cold in the northern plains. There's really no unusually warm weather anywhere. As far as precipitation goes, with the pattern the way it is, it's going to be the coasts, the edges of the continent that get most precipitation. Rain, thunderstorms in the deep south, rain and snow in the northeast and back around the Hudson Bay and northern Great Lakes area. The Rocky Mountains look wet, and California will be getting some decent moisture, kind of dry for the most part in the middle of the country. And that's kind of the way it looks for the second week of this forecast as well. If anything, the precip down in the west goes further south, and the stuff in the east goes a little further north. The middle staying relatively cold and relatively dry.
Grain Handling Direct presents how to purchase grain storage solutions in your bathrobe. First, go to grainhandlingdirect.com. Browse our products, check prices, and add your selection to a cart. You can place your order online or call our customer service reps with any questions. We'll route your order to the manufacturer and ship it directly to your front door. Grainhandlingdirect.com. Direct and simple to save you money.
The passion to make this season better than the last. Since the beginning, it's been our goal too. From our pipeline of groundbreaking traits to new technologies, ours is a story of innovation and a proven track record that's pushed performance and the industry farther than many thought was possible. But there's still work to be done and yields to chase. Because as you know all too well, success doesn't come to those who wait.
Don't miss out on the equipment you'll need next season. Titan Machinery, your local Case IH dealer, has early order discounts on its full line of powerful, efficient, new Case IH equipment, including tractors, combines, and self-propelled sprayers. Get a great deal and ensure that you have the latest in productivity and technology. Supply chains are tight. Contact your Titan Machinery dealership today and find out how much you can save by ordering ahead. Titan Machinery, your local Case IH equipment experts.
Small or large, Superior Grain Equipment has a storage solution for you with a wide variety of bin options and accessories, along with site planning and superior customer service. Plus, from top to bottom, we offer the industry's best bins and warranties to protect your products and your grain storage investment. Get superior quality, protection, and reliability with generations of experience and dependability. Make the superior choice today with Superior Grain Equipment.
For AgWeek, this is Mickle Pates at Watertown, South Dakota.
We'll look at the positive impacts that dairy can have on the community.
A Minnesota couple has put a grain bin to a new use. Spoiler alert, it's not grain.
This elaborate system of tubing with the downhill slope is how Maplewood State Park gathers sap to make syrup.
Thanks for watching AgWeek TV. Remember, for all your ag news, go to agweek.com and follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. One small North Dakota town has lost its only restaurant, but people there hope it can be reopened. The Ranch House opened as a bar in 1937, and later a restaurant was added. Jirik and then his son owned the restaurant in the 90s, but it has been community-owned since a fire in 2000. Local people pitched in to run it, mostly with volunteers. The Ranch House has been an important community hub and served senior meals, but declining rural populations made it hard to stay open.
It's heavy on my heart to see it closing for now. For now, and I emphasize for now, because we're going to do everything we can to get her going again.
Dean Simick's dad was also a former owner of the restaurant, and Dean has been on the Ranch House Renewal Committee since the fire. He says the town is really going to miss having a place to gather, so he hopes someone comes forward to operate it.
The business is here, but you got to bring it back. We lost the business over the years, you know, but COVID didn't help matters any. high price of food right now, but it take a young couple, if they wanted to come and run it, they could bring it back and make it prosperous again.
Kelch says anyone who's interested in running the restaurant should call him. Still ahead, a Minnesota farm family is honored for its commitment to clean water.
All right, here's the free gift I got for opening up a checking account. Let's see what I got.
Okay guys, so I got this portable DVD player.
Yeah, I'm not sure why my bank would give me a tiny waffle maker.
So it's a tumbler, but it doesn't fit in any of my cup holders.
I wasn't even sure they still made these.
Is it for kids? Is this for kids?
Don't fall for the free gift. Find a bank that cares about what you really need. Cornerstone Bank.
The team at North Star Ag is committed to quality and committed to you. We're not just a full-service dealer, we're farmers too, so we know you need the best machinery and services that'll keep you going all season long. We have the largest equipment inventory in the upper Midwest with a well-equipped parts and service department. So whether you need machinery tomorrow or parts today, stop in and experience what North Star Ag can offer on our website at northstar-ag.com or give us a call at 701-361-4790.
If you need storage at your location, call Mike at Storage Pros today. We sell and rent 20, 40, and 45-foot new and used shipping containers. Choose from our huge inventory of in-stock shipping containers at one of our 3 locations. All of our units are wind and watertight and mouse-proof. We deliver with roll-off trailers to your site. We'll have your container to you and ready to use in 2 to 3 days. Call Mike at Storage Pros today, 701-360-1411.
Why I ultimately choose them is they handled everything from the site prep, the dirt work, the gravel. The electricians were all excellent and they're very knowledgeable in the dryer setups themselves. They made sure that they designed me a system that was expandable years into the future. It was a long-term encompassing project, and that's what I appreciate about their knowledge. I'm Ethan Hansen from Blanchard, North Dakota, and I would definitely recommend Advanced Grain for all your grain storage handling needs.
Go beyond the headlines with an AgWeek membership. Get in-depth agribusiness reporting, original farm and ranch stories, and fact-based research for the most comprehensive ag news in the upper Midwest. Experienced ag journalists bring you exclusive ag news, insights, and policy updates you won't find anywhere else. Become a member today and get unlimited access to AgWeek and AgweekTV.
A rural Kilkenny, Minnesota farm has been named the 2022 Outstanding Conservationist for Rice County by the Rice Soil and Water Conservation District. Jirik Family Farms is located in the headwaters of the Cannon River watershed, where water flows into several lakes before it flows in the Mississippi River. The Jirik's decision to conserve soil, prevent erosion, and improve water quality positively affects many downstream in the watershed. The Jiriks installed an ag waste system in their barnyard that stores waste to prevent runoff into the pasture and waters. Stories you'll only see on AgWeek.com and in AgWeek magazine this week. Minnesota groups are setting up resources to get new people into farming. And Nature Energy, the Danish company that's bringing biogas projects to Minnesota and Wisconsin, is being bought by the Shell Petroleum Corporation. We appreciate you watching AgWeek TV. Remember to check us out daily on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok to keep up on all your ag news. Have a great week.